Good morning, everyone. Sorry for the technical challenge there this morning. We're going to start in just 1 minute. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our third presentation in the Wealthy Retailer series. This month's session is Open to Buy Made Easy. On the phone with me, or on the presentation with me, is Scott Smith. Scott Smith, as some of you will know, has been a lifelong retailer and is bringing his wisdom back to his clients, or to our global clients. When I speak about our, I mean the Canadian Retail Solutions family. Canadian Retail Solutions has been around since 1996, providing retail software and open-to-buy planning and retail mentorship, that has empowered retailers throughout North America. And both Scott and I live and breathe our core values, or our core beliefs, in everything that we do. We exist as an entity, as individuals, as coaches, to help make retailers better. And today we're going to talk a little bit about, as we get going here, about how Open to Buy can change a retailer's position, perspective, and life. And so good morning, Scott. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Dan. Thanks for having me, and hi, everybody.
And so we're going to start this morning, and we're going to talk first, before we get to Open to Buy, we're going to talk a little bit about inventory and the high-risk asset that inventory is. And so, because you've registered for the webinar, feel free to take some notes. If you have any questions, just shoot them into the question in your go-to webinar chat box. Scott will keep an eye for those, but you'll get a copy of this presentation that you can refer back to, or you can share with your team. So we're going to get started. We're going to talk first about, before we can get to buying, we want to talk about what inventory really is and why we believe, that it's a high-risk asset. And to do that, we start with looking at what are the risks with inventory. Well, if we land inventory too early in our stores, it gets stale, meaning that our freshness, the measure of inventory received in any given period of time against the amount of total inventory that we own, that freshness starts to wane and we become stale in our customers' eyes, inventory that customers have seen as they've come in and out of the store. So we have to be careful not to bring risk in from landing goods too early. We also have to recognize that if we land inventory too late, we're going to miss business and thereby lose some market share. So we can't land inventory past a certain period, or we're going to miss that business. The third risk is really, if we buy too much inventory, we have to mark it down to sell it, or it sits around forever in our stores and it gets stale and demand wanes on it. So if we have to mark it down or bribe customers with our inventory, it completely kills our profit. So again, a significant risk with inventory. If we buy too much inventory, all of our cash flow is tied up in inventory on the floor, and it starts to choke us off. We don't have cash to continue investing in the growth of our business. And if we buy too little, we lose business to the competition. If we don't have the appropriate amount of inventory on our floors or in our stores for our customers, we lose business to competitions. They go somewhere else to buy what they were looking for. And if we buy too little, our lack of cash keeps us from growing more cash. And so recognize that cash in retail comes from our ability to convert or sell inventory. So we turn inventory or goods, merchandise, back into cash to go and buy more inventory. And so if we buy too little, we end up with not enough inventory, a little bit of market depletion or market share depletion, and a lack of cash flow that prevents us from growing more cash. And so no cash means no inventory, and in retail, no inventory means no sales. And so let's talk a little bit about cash flow. And so cash flow and how it relates to the flow and balance of inventory really is about us investing in inventory in specific classifications that increase our cash flow and our market share. So I'll give you an example. We invest in t-shirts because that's where demand is right now in our class or in our store. And so we invest in our t-shirts and watch that category grow, thereby growing our market share. That growth in sales generates more cash flow. So we need to flow the appropriate amount of inventory in each classification that allow us to increase cash flow and market share. It's important for balance that we maintain only the amount of inventory that we have the ability to immediately sell. And immediately is a bit of a subjective term, but what I mean is that in this predefined period, I maintain only the balance of inventory that I will sell in the next 30, 60, or 90 days, not beyond that. We don't ever want to buy inventory today that we have to wait 4 months to sell. It ties up our cash flow. And this becomes a cyclical problem. If we're always buying 6 months worth of inventory, we're really only buying twice a year, and we tie up a ton of cash in inventory that's now 6 months old. And so if we flow and balance the right inventory in the right category at the right time, we will increase sales and reduce markdowns. Increased sales and reduced markdowns generates more cash. When we flow and balance the right inventory in the right category at the right time, we increase sales and market share. So let's talk about open to buy and how open to buy or utilizing an open to buy plan will drive sales and earn market share in your store. So open to buy in simple terms is defined as merchandise budgeted for purchase during a specific period and not yet on order. So if we looked it up in the dictionary or we Googled open to buy, we're going to find out that it's merchandise, destined for purchase in a specific period that we don't already have on order. But more importantly, open to buy represents the amount of fresh inventory required in season to drive sales and earn market share. Open to buy is a tool that in the hands of a fully committed retailer, not committable, committed retailer profoundly improves their financial performance and position. If you invest in the right category at the right time, you will improve your positioning, not just financial, but your market share positioning. We earn market share by feeding demand.
Mm-hmm. Dan, one of the things that with open to buy that I think that you really bring to life, and I know you and I have seen this over the years, is that we use this term and it's a strong term, but when we find that when a retailer actually has real life open to buy on a month-to-month basis in their business, it's a defining moment. It changes the way that they do business because all of these elements just come to life.
Absolutely. And, regardless of the business that we're in, whether it's ladies fashion or housewares or sporting goods or gear, Western, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
The customer still walks in your door and cares about one thing and one thing only. Show me what is new. No
Mm-hmm.
customer has ever walked in a store and said, show me all your 6-month-old inventory. Show me what you bought last year. Right? I'm going to get an argument from people that customers walk in and want to know what's on sale. And I'll give you an exception that there are customers that want to know what's on sale. But that's not the true customer. That's not your core demographic. They want to know what's new. And open to buy, in its simplest form, is the amount of new inventory that you need to land in season to drive sales and earn market share.
Mm-hmm. And
so open to buy. I've said this 1,000 times. Open to buy is the most simplistic thing in the world. It's just math. We start with our planned sales, the forecast, how much we're going to sell in a class. We add in our markdowns, what we have to discount to sell. And this is important. We have to recognize that if we plan for markdowns, we planned for end of season inventory, the need to mark down goods, either excess or odd sizing or out of season, we plan for it, right? What we have to discount. So we add that to our planned sales. We then add how much do we want to have at the end of the season. And if that's the end of this month, the end of Christmas, the end of spring, the end of summer, whatever that defined moment is, how much inventory do I want to have left? I take away whatever I'm going to start with. I take away anything that I have on order, my current commitments, and I'm left with open to buy. Open to buy is just math.
Mm.
The success in utilizing an open to buy plan comes from you committing to and following a buying pattern, a buying path that drives sales and earns market share. I say earn. I rarely go out and buy market share. I earn it. I earn it by showing my customers what's new. And so I'm going to go back. The math for open to buy is simple. I start with how much I'm going to sell, what my plan is. I'm going to add what I marked down. I'm going to add how much inventory I want to end with. I take away my beginning inventory. I take away anything that I already have on order for that season, not in inventory, but on order for that season. And I'm left with my open to buy dollars. And I'm left with open to buy at retail. And I focus a lot of energy on what is my open to buy at retail, because that's what customers give me. They pay me in retail dollars. And so sometimes I take my open to buy and I convert it to cost and I go and spend. But more often than not, I take the $1,000 at retail that I have available in open to buy dollars, and I go see how little I need to spend to get that $1,000 at retail. Right? And so when you're buying in season, we generally can buy from an ATS list. Or when we're buying replenishable goods, we're buying at a better margin than when we book goods or when we front load goods. When I have a need, open to buy, right? Open to buy, dollars beyond what I already have on order. I'm going out and looking to acquire new goods, and I can fill that in with margin goods that come off of ATS lists or vendors that replenish, and I can typically get a little better margin on it. And so I don't say, take my 1,000, convert it to cost, it's 450, and go and spend that. I go and look for goods that populate $1,000 worth of retail goods. I only have so many hangers, so many shelves, so many slots in my store. If I buy on discount, I may be buying too much product.
Mm.
Right?
Such a great thing. Such a great thing to emphasize, Dan. I think that we so often as buyers think at cost. You know, and we don't recognize that we're filling a store in the eyes of our customer, in the eyes of what they will pay for that item. And I think it's so well put that, you know, when we start to understand what we can do with that retail budget that we have, how we can be creative with the cost that we're going to incur, you know, it really helps you gain power in that process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well said. So open to buy, made easy. Let's make this really easy. And believe it or not, forever, whether I'm talking to furniture retailers or ski outdoor or Western or ladies fashion, it doesn't matter. Ladies toys, kids toys, it doesn't matter. I use this same analogy. Think about bananas. If you were going to buy a banana, would you buy this one? If you had the choice, which bunch of bananas would you buy? The banana on the left or the one on the right? Now, if you're my mom, you're probably leaning on the one on the left because she's going to make banana bread. But if you're in the market for bananas, you're going to buy the one on the right. And I think, Scott, you agree with me. You're going to buy the right.
Absolutely. Yep. No banana bread for us in retail.
And so we can agree that fresh inventory will affect our sales. It will impact sales. And so what happens when we buy more bananas than we have the ability to sell? Well, those great, fresh, ripe bananas become banana bread. They got to go in the freezer, and my mom's going to turn it into some kind of a loaf, right? And so what's the impact of old inventory in our stores? Well, if the great ripe banana is worth $1, what's this worth? What's this banana that's now 90 days old worth? And more importantly, what's this banana that's now 6 months old worth? Been on display in my store for 6 months or 6 months or more, pardon me. If we start on the very left and say, hey, this banana's worth $1, this jacket's worth $1, this shirt is worth $10, the middle one now has to be marked down. It's now only worth, 8 out of $10. And the last one, 6 months old, it's only worth 5 out of $10. What happens to our sales, right? We start to see that shrink. It declines. Our inventory has become stale because we either bought it too soon and it's hanging around, or we bought too much and we smothered the demand that I had in my store. And we go back to grade 7 and talk about supply and demand. As supply increases, demand wanes, prices fall, right? Mm-hmm. As supply weakens, demand increases and prices grow. We see the same thing happen in apparel stores that we see happen in oil and gas. The more oil that's available, the harder it is to sell it, or the less the demand is, and the price deflates. Inventory is the exact same thing. It's perishable. It only has a finite amount of time to exist in your store before it starts to devalue. And so I ask everyone this question: do we really need to land a season's worth of bananas at one time? And now your season might be 3 months, it might be 4 months, it might be 5 months, or it might be 1 month. Everyone has a little bit different season depending on vertical and geography. But the question remains, do I need to land all of my inventory at one time? And furthermore, if we can sell 2 bunches of bananas, would we only buy a half a bunch? It's not just about buying too much. I have clients and retailers that we talk to every day that don't buy enough inventory. One of my clients, for 5 years, we've teased her about having this disease, this DRTB, a demonstrated reluctance to buy. And it holds us back in sales. She just never buys enough inventory to feed the demand that's in her store. She's very protective of her buying. And I say, if you can sell this, why would you only buy this? Yes, I understand the need to mitigate risk and be protective, but if we want to grow our market share, we buy it. We are retailers. In furniture, we're lucky that we can buy 1 sofa and sell 10 from it. In apparel, it's not the same way. In any apparel-based business, In any accessory-based business, it's not the same way. We got to buy 10 shirts to sell 10 shirts. We need to have 10 candles or 10 settings to sell 10 settings. And so if we have the opportunity, sorry, go ahead, Scott.
No, like you said before, Dan, the thing that really kind of impacts me when I talk to retailers about this as well is that we're walking customers. Like we are literally walking customers to another store if we're buying from the bunch on the right and we're not having the appropriate amount to sell like we have on the left,
Yeah, so accurate. We're walking customers. And the one thing and the only thing that we cannot quantify in our business is missed opportunities.
So true.
With all of the great technology that exists in today's marketplace, we really have no ability to quantify what a missed opportunity really looks like. We just don't know what we don't know. We don't know what she would have bought had she had the opportunity. We can only measure what we have sold, what she has bought, never what she hasn't. And so I get it. I know we are not banana stores, but there are some similarities in bananas and in every other facet or vertical of retail. We don't want this great ski display to become this. We do not want to have a bunch of brown bananas at the end of our season. And so when I talk about, this turning from one to the other, from a great display to a not great ending of season, it comes as a result of us, in some cases, overbuying. And so what are the impacts really of overbuying? Well, we have to mark down, and markdowns increase and cash profit decreases. And that really leads us to become this cash poor retailer. And so just for a minute, I'm going to talk about cash poor. This is not the kind of cash poor or performance that our accountant talks about. This is about a bank balance. This is about us having cash to invest in our business. It's not about us being profitable. When markdowns increase in our store and our cash profit decreases, we become cash poor. And I say to retailers every day, you need to be able to invest in your business. And the investment in our business comes from cash. And when we're cash poor, it leads us to this inability to land fresh goods, fresh inventory, which of course leads us to have a stale inventory. A stale inventory will lead us to a shrinking market share. A shrinking market share leads to only one thing, and that's declining sales. And declining sales is rat poison. If your store is declining in sales, you've got to make a change. It's because our market share is shrinking, and we need to earn that market share back. Takes time, takes effort. It's a lot of hard work. If it wasn't hard, everybody would do it. We've chosen one of the most difficult career paths ever. It's difficult. It's a lot of work. It's never easy. And when market share shrinks, it leads to declining sales. And so the same things can be said for someone that underbuys inventory. The impact of underbuying really can lead to missed sales opportunities. Missed sales opportunities leads to a shrinking market share. Of course, that leads to us becoming cash poor again. And when we're cash poor, we create this inability, consequentially, to land fresh inventory, which leads to declining sales. And so you can see through the demonstration that whether I overbuy or underbuy, I will lose market share. I may, in fact, watch my sales decline and not know why. The answer is simple. I am not buying effectively. I am not flowing and balancing inventory in the categories that will grow market share. And I'm going to say this. You guys know, if you don't know, I will tell you that Scott and I are the hugest, the greatest advocates for utilizing a plan, a merchandise plan. an open to buy plan. And I promise you that I will not sell you that today. I will only tell you how important it is that you have a plan. Without a plan, your future is in question. You need to be able to land that. This effective, accurate forecasting transforms your store from an overcrowded, stale, market-dwindling money pit to a lean, mean, cash-generating retail machine. And cash, it is not about us driving a better car or drinking better wine. It is about us taking advantage of our ability to earn market share and grow our businesses. I've never come across a retailer that has said to me with any level of honesty, I have no interest in growing my business.
You can really see, Dan, in this, in the examples that you bring up, is and the key behind this is knowing and having the confidence to drive in and where to move your classifications. You know, like I look at pictures that we bring up, and I look at stores and I see classes, and when you have that confidence to drive into those classes, you know, you build your business. You have nothing but growth when you're feeding that customer what they're looking for.
For sure. Agreed. And you know, this is the same store. These two pictures are the same store. And through a buying plan, they change their presentation, right? Mm-hmm. Believe it or not, this is the same presentation. It's the skis and what happens at the end of season, what we do with it when we change seasons. This is what happens. We pull all the skis out, we stack them out in the back, whether in bins or lean them up, and we put a bunch of different seasonal inventory in. It's the same problem.
How many times, Dan, have you walked into stores and found those Rubbermaid plastic boxes that are the product that's miraculously going to come out next season and have some kind of different effect on the customers that saw it for a solid year previous?
You know, it's funny. I had an inventory coach several years ago. I was in the furniture business, and his name was Lee Rochelle. And Lee would come to the store, and at that time, you know, we didn't have the technology that we have today, and so it was always an in-person meeting. And I couldn't afford to have him drive up from, you know, he lived in Grand Rapids, Michigan, or just south of Grand Rapids, Michigan, on the lake. And so he would drive up to my store in southwestern Ontario. You know, he would drive that 5 or 6 hours. And so I was paying this guy to drive back and forth, and I couldn't afford to do it every month. And so we did this quarterly planning session that he would come in my store and he would grade me on my markdowns. And it was all about, you know, if it didn't sell in the last 3 months, what makes you think it'll sell in the next 3 months? And more importantly, if it didn't sell in the last 6 months, what makes you think it's going to sell in the next 6 months? Believe me, there's not something wrong with the customer. You know, I used to love making these excuses. I'm like, the customers just don't get it. You know, we're ahead of the trend. We're ahead of the fashion trend. They're going to catch up to us. You know, it was all malarkey. It was all crap. You know, there was nothing that was going to make that product sell 6 months down the road except a markdown, except bribery, except me giving it away. And now, you know, of the 25 or 30 people that get on the phone call with us every day, you know, how many of them are trying to give product away and customers don't even want that? You know, I had a call with a retailer yesterday, and he said, I cannot give away these winter coats. I'm like, well, that's because they're from last winter. You know, they walk in your store and they want to know what's new. And there's no disguise for last year's product, the stuff that was on your floor last year. You got to get rid of it today. You can't carry it over. And I know we make exceptions, and exceptions are a part of life. But you've got to cleanse through your inventory. And an open-to-buy plan, a strategy, will allow that to happen. Not only do we forecast revenue, we also forecast where we want inventory to be. And so I always make this commitment. I'm going no more than 30 minutes. And so we're right on the 30-minute mark. We now have 3 more sessions planned. Next month, at the end of November, we're going to do customer-driven selling. We kind of felt like it was the right time We're going to walk through what we believe are the essential steps in an effective selling system on your floor, especially at holiday. November 24th, we're going to revitalize your KPIs. We're going to help you know your numbers, what to measure, and then we're going to follow it up with retail math made easy. We're going to help you calculate the numbers. And we're going to take that 30 minutes and say, here's the 10 numbers you need to know, and here's how to calculate them. Thank you for joining us. As I said, we'll have this presentation available probably later today or early tomorrow. It'll be available on our website, on our YouTube page, and you can have a recorded copy of it for your use going forward. Please mark your calendars and join us for the next ones. And if you have feedback or questions, shoot an email to planning@retailbycrs.com, and either Scott or I will jump on it right away.
Absolutely.
Or you can pick up the phone and give us a call. We are happy to chat.
Happy to answer any questions on anything that's on your minds, for sure.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Cheers. Thank you.